Wouldn't it be funny if there was kind of like when you get your cast off, if you ever had a broken arm or something, and the doctor says, you're healed, you're healed, you're healed. And you know it's done. It's like it's over, it's done. Wouldn't it be cool if there was something like that for our hearts, for our spirits, for us, that inner healing? Unfortunately, there's not, or is there? Stay with me.
Flowdreaming. It's a show where we talk about the power of your mind
to change your world around you,
to literally affect
the fabric of your reality.
We talk about this feeling of hope
and joy
and relief. And that is what being aware of your flow does. It gives you a feeling of power again in your lives.
Breathe.
I'm Summer McStravick, and welcome to another episode of Flowdreaming.
Well, hello, my loves. We are here for episode number 626, the easiest and hardest part of healing. I'm Summer McStravick, and thank you for joining me today. You are probably tuning in because you were intrigued by flow dreaming, the fact that we discuss your consciousness, we discussed manifesting, we discuss all kinds of ways that we can work with non-physical to really sort of better our lives. And if you're new to the program, hey, wonderful, welcome here. If you are an old school flow dreamer, it's good to see you back. And as usual, we're going to explore a little niche topic in this world of co-creating and manifesting and your consciousness. So today we're taking on the topic of healing, like inner healing, healing your heart, healing your soul, healing from tragedy, healing from bad health, healing from grief, healing from divorce, healing from guilt, just healing. Healing being something that we all encounter every single day. And I know it's so easy. We want to compartmentalize it and say, well, I'm just healing from this one big thing. Well, sometimes that one big thing is childhood, right? And what we're recognizing is that this is a healing that's ongoing. This is a kind of healing that has layers. It's a recognition that as we go through our day and through our lives, it's almost like there's a kind of continual cellular damage that occurs just by living. Like at this very moment, you're getting bombarded by particles from space. It's a crazy thought. I know, just looking at my arm, I'm like, I don't see particles, but we are. And those particles can cause cellular damage, and our body is always working to clean that up. I mean, our bodies are working day in and day out to heal damage. Right? And healing damage is what we do. Damage from oxidative stress, damage from our environment, damage. It's part of living. And yet we're under this constant idea that life itself doesn't cause us any other form of damage, emotional damage, spiritual damage, intimacy damage, damage to our relationship with source or non-physical. But once you start to accept that part of living is that I'm creating this kind of ongoing residue of cleanup. And it's actually a really, really great thing. It's not a bad thing at all because it means you're living. Whenever we're living, we tend to break a few things. And if you're not really living, you're not really breaking much. So look at the damage that you're cleaning up in an ongoing way as evidence that you're growing. I mean, it's evidence of growth. Good. It's a really good thing. You got to have it. So when we're talking about healing, remember how I was just saying a little while ago that we compartmentalize it? We tend to just lump things into a category like, well, I've got to heal from the diagnosis. I got to heal my body. I have to heal my heart, right? And that's one that's very close to my heart, speaking of hearts, because I had to heal from the emotional damage, the spiritual damage that having had breast cancer created in my life. Not only was it a physical healing, but I'm still moving through emotional healing around it. But yours may be different. I hope yours is different. Maybe yours is healing around a broken relationship that you just felt a sense of failure around. Maybe your healing is around a job that you failed at or fired from. Maybe your healing is around your role in some form, your role as a daughter, your role as a father. There's all kinds of areas is what I'm getting at. And though we may compartmentalize it and pinpoint it on, well, it's just this or it's just that, you kind of have to look a little bigger, right? Deep down, what you're healing from, besides the thing that generated the need to heal, like the job loss or the illness or the failure to fulfill a role to your degree, or the failure to succeed, if you've ever had to shut down a business or close up an idea that you thought would work and then you couldn't make it work. Beyond that, what's really deep in there? What are we really, really healing? Well, that's where we get into the deepest emotions. I'm healing failure. I'm healing grief. I'm healing fear that it might happen again. I'm healing a sense of inadequacy. I'm healing loss. Those are the real things we're healing, and they happen to have occurred in these different compartmentalized areas. But if you just check in with yourself right now, you can kind of feel where, things are unresolved. And if you go deep into those unresolved things, you discover it's because the feelings are unresolved. Okay, great. Now what do we do with it now that we recognize we have these unresolved feelings? How do we let them drain from our hearts? From our energy systems. Well, this is where today's topic got really interesting for me. Thought a lot about this one. What's the easiest part of healing? What's the hardest part of healing? And then, is there a way to speed it up? So here are some thoughts that I kind of came up with after working with thousands and thousands of people. And of course, moving through my own personal experiences. I think the easiest part of healing, frankly, is what nature gifted us with. Time. Right? You know how they always say that time heals all? Well, when you let time wash away the details, you let that fading memory let go of things. I had that experience just a few nights ago. I had a very vivid dream about someone, and I was so angry, and it was just like, what? Where did this come from? And I woke up, and I thought to myself, I forgot I was even mad at that person. That's right. That happened. I completely forgot about it. Thanks, subconscious, for reminding me. But my mind had already been working in my conscious day-to-day life and just releasing and letting go of that. Telling me this is no longer something you need to carry. It's no longer relevant. Let's open up room for more things. Time is a balm. Makes things cloudy. It makes the emotions less tangible, potent, vivid. Time. And it just happens. You don't have to do anything for it. That's why it's the easiest part of healing. I think the other easiest part of healing, I could only come up with two, folks, just warning you. The other easiest part of healing is knowing what needs healing. Because the hurt is pretty obvious. What needs healing? Well, if you have a bad feeling in your heart, if you feel guilt, fear, upset, worry, anxiety, stress, disappointment, any of those emotions, I could just keep naming them. But if it's an emotion that brings you to a low point in yourself, there you go. Bingo. That's what needs healing right there. You know what that is. And you know what situation or scenario or thought or past thing brought up that feeling. So knowing what needs healing is a heck of a lot easier than we think it is. Because often we say, I don't know what my patterns and blocks are. Well, often it's related to healing. So just look where you don't feel good. There you go. Let's heal that. A great exercise, jot a list down right now. What things don't feel good? You might say, well, it's a problem I'm trying to solve. I don't think I need to heal it. I'm like, think about it. Maybe you do need to heal it. I bet it's tied to something bigger, and it's just manifesting right now as the current problem that you're needing to solve. So identifying it and just letting time take its course is huge, huge. But let's shift now into the hardest parts of healing. For me, the hardest parts are, well, knowing how the hurt is actually holding me back. So, you know how I just said the easiest part is knowing what needs healing? The hurt is always obvious. But yes, I know what the feelings are, and I know what they're tied to and what problems are surrounding, but how is that actually holding me back? That is sometimes a harder thing to unravel. We can feel the being in the place of hurt. But then when we think, how is that impacting me? What is it preventing me from doing? Where does this spread elsewhere in my life? Where does it make me keep my mouth shut or not take a good, healthy risk or not level up or not reconcile with someone? How's it holding me back? What's the bigger impact that this hurt, this unhealed area is making in my life? That, I call it hard because it actually takes awareness, right? It takes your awareness, but that's why you guys are here, right? Because we're all powerfully, vividly interested in our personal growth. And so for us, this is like giving you a box of chocolates. Like, here, this is the next thing you get to work on in personal growth. Check this out. This is going to make a huge difference. So what's going to make a huge difference? Taking the time, a few moments, days, months, to understand how this hurt is holding you back. Now, a way I'd get into this is maybe through some form of journaling. I like to write things down. And I would write down, here's what I know needs healing. The hurt's obvious, but how is it holding me back? Where am I still reacting to this that's preventing me from making forward momentum? Got it? The second thing is, as far as the hardest part of healing goes, in my experience, the larger the disappointment, the larger the pain, the more chance there is that we kind of create a kind of residual PTSD around it. Right? One of my most popular episodes years back, career PTSD. Forgive me, I don't know the actual number, but you can go to my website, to the podcast page, and maybe you can type it in and find it that way. But that particular episode explored how failing at a job or losing a job can create a kind of PTSD inside of us. We always think that PTSD, or we used to, was something you received in war, right? Or due to some really terrible physical trauma. I've discovered that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, can develop around many different areas. You might have developed PTSD around one of your illnesses, meaning the illness may be in remission, the illness may be gone, but that part of you is still totally involved in the lack thinking of, but it might come back. What if I get that again? What will happen to me? Or if you've ever lost everything, lost your house, lost your money, lost your friends, lost your family, and then regained them. Something still sits in you that says, I could lose them at any moment. Everything I do now has to make sure I don't lose them. You go from a trajectory of being positive into one of simply being reactive, preventing a loss or a lack from occurring again. That is a form of PTSD. So releasing that PTSD that you acquire can be one of the hardest parts of healing. Why? Because it's always centered around deep, embedded lack thoughts. Lack thoughts that drop so down deep into your energy and your emotional system that they come up almost knee-jerk. And then they begin to guide your decisions and your thoughts and your feelings. And pretty soon you realize everything I'm doing is just to prevent that thing from happening again. That's not actually co-creating a great future. It's just making sure I don't re-experience something that hurt me so bad in the past. Can you see how there's a really big difference in the kind of things that you make and create in your life? So you need to be aware of that. And again, how do you become aware of it? A great exercise would be to journal it. What parts of my life do I have PTSD around? And if you've already done the how is my hurt holding me back, it's going to be even easier to see. PTSD meaning I get hyper triggered by this. If there's any hint of it, if I get a tiny pain in my body, I'm like, oh no, it's back, it's back. If somebody criticizes me at work or my boss seems slightly unpleased, I go into freak out mode. And I think, oh my God, I have to start looking for a new job right now. If my partner appears to be unhappy and upset, I immediately go into this tailspin of, oh gosh, they're doing something terrible. They're unhappy with me. They hate me. They're cheating on me. They're not telling me. Right? That's a PTSD. See where you do that. The last part that I feel is the hardest part of rebuilding healing. Or excuse me, the hardest part of healing, that gave it away there a little bit, is rebuilding trust. Rebuilding trust. For some of us, it never happens. We simply move on and away from the thing that broke our trust. Right? Because we're like, I can't do it. For some of us, we stay in the situations where our trust was broken. Often this is around family, or it's with your own body. Things they're hard to get away from. But we lost trust in it. We lost faith in it. Faith that it would be healthy. We lost faith that a parent would choose us over their own selfishness. Right? We lose trust. But to go forward, do you really heal? We have to commit to regaining the trust. Otherwise, we're on a constant defensive mode. You know what that's like when you're with someone or something you don't trust. You're always on guard. You're waiting for things to change. At a moment's notice, you're preemptively already planning on what you'll do when the next bad thing happens. Which means that you're manifesting a future where a bad thing will happen that you have to address. That is not what most of us want to actually be manifesting. So let me give you some ways that we handle this, particularly in Me School. By the way, a lot of what you hear in this show comes from my teachings in Me School. And Me School, as it turns out, yes, it's enrolling right now. The spring enrollment is happening, and I really, really urge you, if you've been thinking about it, maybe for months or years, or even if you just heard about it, give me a call. Let's have a talk about it. It's here. It's in a shorter, faster, and cheaper form. Yes, you heard it. Shorter, faster, cheaper. But it's not diminished. The content, the core materials are still there. And it is a glorious way to up-level, heal, shift, change yourself. Your life only grows as big as you grow on the inside. So all those things you're trying to do outside you are hinging on one thing, you, inside. Which often means we have to totally reorient our priorities because we just think it's all the outside stuff we have to do. Not realizing that that stuff is being limited. Absolutely, totally limited by our own inner world. Unlock the inner world, go to Me School, and it's like, if you've ever played video games, it's like leveling up. You reach boss level on one level, go to Me School, and now you're up in whole new levels. You just can't go any higher. So I really, really encourage you to go to flowdreaming.com, take a look at it. get a hold of me and we'll discuss it. Yes, you actually talk to me. I love to know personally who I am teaching, so I look forward to meeting you. And it's not scary. Trust me. It's a very fun phone call, actually. All right, let's getting back to my promised ways that we address this. Like, how do we get through the hardest part of healing? All right, fortunately, there are strategies, and I'm going to share a few with you right now. So healing, first of all, isn't something you just let happen. If you're just letting it happen, what you're saying is, I'm just going to let time wash away the details. That's it. I'm just going to let my own, gradual maturity and wisdom take care of it. I mean, yeah, that'll work eventually, probably, not 100%. But we want to go faster, right? I want to carry negative emotion for the least amount of time possible in my life. So healing must be practiced if you want to speed it up. What does that mean? Healing must be practiced. Well, it means you actually have to do things to create healing. Can't just let it be on autopilot on the background. You have to say, this is what needs healing. What am I going to do about it? What am I going to do? And this is where a lot of us get stuck because, honestly, our world and our society doesn't really show us what to do for healing. I mean, you might hear things like go see a therapist or journal or practice some self-love. But a lot of it's kind of vague and fuzzy and there's no real promises at the end. Well, when I practice healing, I do it a little differently. I recognize that healing is not achieved just by smoothing things over, right? Trying to wear down the edges. That little rock or that little piece of sea glass tumbling in the ocean, getting ground down and softer and smoother. Yes, that's time will do that, but for me, healing is not about smoothing over and trying to quiet it down, trying to bury it. Instead, I take a very active view of healing. My healing is about consciously strengthening up, consciously rebuilding. So let me give you an example. Just to go back to my own recent biggest healing that I've had to move through, which was cancer. Did all of the physical work, of course, meaning surgery and, all the body healing that goes into it. And then there ends up being emotional healing. There ends up being a healing I need to do about trusting my body again, that I can rely on it, I can count on it. It's not just going to suddenly whack out and surprise me and try and kill me. Oh, right? A lot of healing around that. How do I strengthen it and rebuild that with consciousness? Well, first of all, you know it. I practice flow dreaming. For me, flow dreaming is the technique where I go in and I practice the emotions I want to feel about my body. I practice them. It's like lifting weights at the emotional gym. The more I practice them, the more my body becomes strong with them. The more they become my default. And then the PTSD becomes less of my default. So for instance, I go into my flow and I'm practicing, I'm feeling, I'm co-creating. And if you don't know what flow dreaming is, go to my website. I've got a gorgeous free kit there. It teaches you. It's simple. But I go in and I'm feeling myself strong. I'm feeling my body strong. I'm trusting my body. I'm reminding my body that we get through this together. I'm reminding my body that it has a good, long life ahead of it. I'm reminding my body that I can give it anything it needs or requires for its healing. I'm reminding my body of its own inner cellular wisdom. You created this body. You can uncreate this as well. I'm practicing feelings of rampant and gorgeous health. I'm practicing feelings of trusting that I will live to be another, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in my life. And I'm feeling this over and over. What's happening when I'm doing this? It's like I'm feeding my body. I'm giving it vitamins. I'm giving it, plant food. I'm telling my body, hey, I'm giving you what you need. so that you can strengthen and rebuild. I'm going to practice the trust that I want us to have more of. And how am I practicing it? I'm practicing it by feeling it. This is very different than what a lot of us do, which is we just wait for situations around us to show up with ways for us to feel trust. And it might or might not show up. I'm not waiting. I'm feeling trust. And I'm saying, okay, I'm feeling it. So life, give me more ways to practice it outside. If I end up feeling better and I'm going to the gym and I'm feeling better from that, all of this is increasing trust in my body. If I'm getting my blood test done and they're looking stellar, it's increasing my blood, my trust in my body. But it's also increasing the sense of beautiful self-soothing and self-strengthening that I'm doing by going in there and feeling from the get-go how I'm rebuilt, healthy, and trustworthy. So I use my body as an example, but you can use a relationship. Maybe it's your heart. I choose good people. I choose a good partner. I trust myself to do this. I sense and see the warning signs easily, quickly. I speak my truth. I stay in my power. I have strong, gorgeous boundaries. My partner loves and respects my boundaries. In fact, loves me even more because I have them. Everything I do impresses them. Right? Oh, this all feels so good. This is active healing. Isn't it interesting? Because it kind of sounds like we're manifesting now and co-creating. Well, we are. Because healing is achieved by doing things that rebuild yourself. Rebuild your trust. Rebuild your strength. It's the doing of these things that makes you stronger and more powerful and grows you. And often, it is a form of manifesting how you want to feel and feeling it in flow. So that is the most potent method that I know of. It's what I practice myself all the time. Me schoolers, we practice it all the time. A big chunk of us are going through healing because we've recognized that the lack of healing is the block. It's the ceiling right there. All right. How do you want to move through it? Great. Let's start feeling that. Let's start practicing that. I can't impress on you how change-making this is in your life. Life-altering. So I'm going to give you a recommendation because I know some of you are like, okay, all right, I'm going to call you on Me School, but, or I'm not because I've already been in Me School. By the way, if you've already been in Me School, come talk to me because there's a Me School 2 and a 3 and a 4, and it might be time for you to come back in. But if you're looking on the website, I encourage you, or the app, by the way, I encourage you to go and look up Powerful Inner Healing. It's a flow dream. I recorded this one to unlock the biggest things in you that are holding you back, that are hurting, that are unresolved. So that, yes, you can release the PTSD, you can rebuild your trust, and you can understand how the hurt has actually been holding you back and fix it. So big recommend to Powerful Inner Healing. And you can find that at flowdreaming.com or in the Flowdreaming app at your local app store. And yes, by the way, the app is getting a beautiful rebuild, so you'll be hearing from me again shortly about that. So I'm not exactly going to do a flow dream today because I did leave you with Powerful Inner Healing. That's the one you really want to practice. But if you do want to get a flow dream from me, of course, just go to flowdreaming.com and get the kit. In the meantime, if you already know how to flow dream and you are a daily practitioner, I hope you are. Big hugs if you are. If you're not yet, keep working on it. You'll get there. Then go ahead and do your own inner healing flow dream. Use the clues that I just shared with you and see what you can get done. So that's it, my friends. Lots of love to you. I'm going to see you next week for episode 627, How to Find or Refind Your Life Purpose. So I'll see you all then. Until then, have a beautiful week. I want to take a moment to tell you about Me School. Now, of course, you can look all of this up on the website at flowdreaming.com. Look up Me School, and the whole thing will be written out for you in great and glorious detail. But as long as you're here and you've just been listening to this episode, maybe the thoughts crossing your mind. What would happen if I really learned all of this flow dreaming stuff? What would happen if I gave myself some personal growth on a really stepped up level? What would I be capable of? Where could I go? Most of my Me Schoolers enter Me School not exactly knowing where they want to go. And that's mistake number one I want you to avoid. You don't have to know what you're trying to create for yourself. If you've been through a transition recently, or you're even just looking at the next decade of your life and thinking, what's going to happen in it? Well, I'm here. We're here because that's what we specialize in. Showing you, helping you, pointing you, where you can say, I know how I'm going to feel in that decade. And I know some of the things now that I want to add in. We take you from a place of being stuck and not knowing into a place of total, powerful clarity, of excitement. You are raring to go. And maybe that's a feeling you haven't had in a while. Well, it's still there, it's hiding, and I know how to get it back. So come join me, come visit. We are a beautiful, vibrant, loving, intimate community of very powerful, accepting creators, seekers, and dreamers. We make things happen. You will be intensely surprised by the quality of people who are around you. And why? Because I spend my time with you for a whole year. And I'm picky. I am. Which means that everyone in Me School is a choice cut, man. They're the top. They're the best people. Doesn't mean they're the biggest in their careers or this or that, but they're good people. And they're people who do the work. And they're generous people. And they're loving people. They're the people I want to hang out with. And I'm inviting you to come in with us. Because over the course of the year, we're going to talk together every month, multiple times a month. You're going to be learning things. You're going to be testing things, trying things. I have hundreds of techniques that I teach you. And we go over them together. And they will reveal you and unfold you to yourself in a way you have never seen before. So please come join me. At least get on my schedule to talk to me. I open up times throughout my work month where I talk to potential new students, and it's gentle. We just discuss, hey, are you ready? Are you almost ready? Maybe you're not ready. We'll find out. But it's good to call, and it's good for us to talk because it puts it on your radar, and it's the first step in your commitment to yourself. So I invite you to go to flowdreaming.com, swipe to it on your phone or go on your desktop, and go ahead and set up a time and let's talk. I can't wait.